Good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm about to start a series. I haven't thought of what the title would be. So think of today's message as a intro to the series. And it is, today we're going to talk about how you are showing up. And it's a really big issue because there's been I've been in conversations with different people. I have over the past 2 weeks experienced a lot of loss. Very personal people I've known for years, minus one, but was but that one was a member of my family. So you know, losing the people and then understanding just basic life principles. We never know what people are going through, right? And so today we're going to add I'm going to talk to you about how are you showing up for people. And when I say how are you showing up, not how are you providing them with resources and things of that nature, but mainly how are you giving grace to people? Are you constantly blaming them, ridiculing them for things that they've done in the past? Are you holding something against them? Why are you not forgiving? Why are you constantly fighting? We have to be bigger than the situation sometimes. Sometimes we have to let things go that we don't want to. But we have to, we must, because they create blockage. Okay. Think of it as an artery. Whenever you don't forgive, it is plaque going into that artery. Whenever we hold on to stuff for long periods of time, is adding more plaque to that artery. Whenever we lash out at people for things that they didn't do, but because of things that someone else did, and we put them into that same category, we're adding plaque to that artery. And so what happens is that, as you know, when plaque begins to build up so much, it creates a blockage in life, aka blood is not able to flow like it's supposed to. You're not able to live like you are supposed to. You're not able to breathe and be mobile like you're supposed to because you have a blockage there. And what happens is that it causes a heart attack. In this sense, it causes a strain between you and God. It causes resistance to what God is telling you. It causes you friction in the things that God wants you to do. And because you don't do them, you're punished. And I'm reading a book, and the author begins to talk about her son. And she begins to talk about how he felt like God was punishing him. And she said, no, God is not punishing you. You punished you because of your actions, because of what you were doing. And so it's a lot of blessings being withheld from people. It's a lot of breakthroughs being withheld from people simply because they are allowing these blockages to happen. Like I've often heard growing up, one of the preachers that I grew up under would say, how can you love God and you don't love his people? And that is the basis of this message. How can you say that you love God, that you are here for God, and you can't stand your brother, you can't stand your sister. You hate the very thought of them. You hate the very sight of them. You allow petty banter and petty situations to get in between you and someone else. God is displeased with that. How many times have you chastised your child, for those who have children or have witnessed children being chastised for siblings fighting each other, siblings being unkind to each other, and the parent saying, don't do that. That's your brother. That's your sister. You're supposed to look out for each other. You're supposed to protect each other. You're supposed to be in each other's corner when nobody else is in that person's corner. You should be the first one there, the first responder, right? And so that's what you have to be. You have to let these things go that, excuse me, you have to let these things go that get in between you and someone else. If you don't, what will happen is one of you will get lost and the other one will not. The other one will progress and move on, while the other is left bitter, hurt, confused, and will do any and everything that goes against the practice and will of God. So even if you don't cause your downfall, you will cause the downfall of someone else. And that is what we call blood on your hands, right? Because if you have led someone astray, if you had pushed someone away from their deliverance, from God's love, from the peace and sanctity of God, that judgment is going to fall upon your head. I've noticed that this roundabout message keep coming up, and I believe it's because it's a lot of people that's out there hurting, and it's a lot of people out here hurting people. So in here in Healing in the Veins, this platform is about healing of yourself, healing of others, healing of a nation, of a city, of a group of people. I'm not going to sit up here and act like I don't have a bias, towards certain things. But whenever those thoughts do come up, I check myself. And I check myself because if I don't know the experience of someone, I can't speak on it. I don't speak on it. But I do push and ask other people to hold their tongues and hold their mouths against experiences that they don't know. And I'm going to tell you, it's like this. If you've been working in construction 20, 30 years, you don't just switch to media marketing and are an expert because you've gained your expertise in construction. Media and marketing is something different. It is very different. You have to understand technology. You have to understand the layout of the market. You have to understand the needs, the wants. There's a lot of understanding that has to take place. And you can't do that when you've been in construction. Your expertise level was in foundation building the what I like to call the skeletal pieces of a building. What wires go in which place and how they should be placed. You know how the plumbing pipe should go and flow. You even know how to pour the cement to create the stable foundation. But we each have our part on this earth. So just because your expertise in a thing does not match someone else, it doesn't mean that you are less valuable or more valuable than another. So just like someone's lived experience is different from yours, it doesn't mean that you are better than that person. It doesn't mean that your lived experience is more blessed and more graced by God. Because at any given moment, God can take those things away, and God will show publicly how much you really are connected. How much faith do you really have compared to the person that you're speaking on? Sometimes God will even put you in situations that you put other people in just to wake you up. And some people miss that. Some people don't understand that. Like, oh, well, I'm just going through a test. Right. But while you're going through that test, are you learning the lesson? Are you learning the real lesson as to why you're going through that test? Because if you're not, then everything you're doing is in vain. And it's only in vain because you're not learning the lesson. And when you don't learn the lesson, you'll continue to be in that cycle. And who wants to be in a cycle full of heart attacks? So today I just ask you to check how much grace you're giving and check how much blame you're putting on people. And when I say blame, I mean casting, I don't want to say casting lots, and I don't want to say casting out. With those, you need tos. If you didn't do, fill in the blank. Those, you need to get saved. Those things, those are blaming. But because what you're saying to that person is, if you get your life in order, then God can bless you. If you stop being in your struggle, then you will see freedom. You will experience freedom. Well, obviously the person needs to understand the struggle, the root of the struggle. Obviously that person needs to understand how to get out. And sometimes it literally takes the will and hand of God to pull people out of things. And what happened is that you run them away. You push them away. You tell them they are not welcomed here. And God is like, you're praying a thing over this person. And when they come and when they show up how they show up, you turn them away. And I can't do what I need to do in this person's life. Blood on your hands. Hold on, I'm getting something right now. So what I was just hearing was there was a reason why Evel Knievel was the way that he was. He was a daredevil. And he did things based off of what people told him that he could not do. And whenever he did them, people were amazed. He created his own path because he had to break out of the bondage and the limitations that people put onto him. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody has a strong will and a strong mind to do that. So for some of you, the way you talk to people and how you talk to people literally break them down. And once you have broken someone, they become stuck. It's like a broken mirror that breaks in between a space, a very small space. So I will use the car, for example, because we all know that things fall in between the seats of a car. But think of a mirror that falls and breaks in between a car seat. And when that mirror breaks, it folds. The pieces are shattered, and they may either go up, they may either go down. And then when someone tries to reach and pull that mirror up, they're going to cut themselves. Why? Because they're not going to see all of the pieces. They're not going to see all of the brokenness in that person. And then the person is already helpless. So they can't pull itself out. They can't pull themselves out. The mirror can't pull itself out without help and assistance. And so now the person in the seat has to move the seat, if they can move the seat, to make sure that all the shards of glass is removed, to make sure that the base of the mirror is moved. And that takes a lot of work. That's going to take a lot of resources. So every time you dismiss a person and you break them that much, what you're doing is you're creating an even worse situation for someone else to help pull that person out. What you're doing is you're creating a bigger caveat and a bigger wound, a bigger wound for God to heal. And that is where church hurt comes in. That is where relationship hurt come in. That is where pain comes in. And if this is a healing channel, you can't do that. Especially if you've heard me several times. If you've been on this platform and has come across my videos several times and you continue to do this, that is over your head. God is very displeased. So I ask you, I'm not begging you, I'm asking you to make a change. Changing your delivery, changing your thought pattern, and changing how you deal with people. Because you don't want blood on your hands. And if you have to go back and ask people to forgive you, do that. Because that will be burdens lifted off of you. That'll be a way for you to clear out the blockages for you. And in the process, you will clear out blockages that you've created in people. And you both will get your deliverance. And you both will get your breakthroughs. And you both will begin to see life in a different way and experience life in a different way. So you all be blessed. Take into what I said. Take it into your heart space. Take it in internally. Until next time. Okay. Bye-bye.